Hello everyone and welcome back to another math video. Today we're going to be talking about factoring by grouping, similar to the problems that you see up on the screen here. Just a reminder, this is the normal version. If you want the speedrun version where we go through pretty quickly, I'll link that in the description below. For your Ricasso Recap, you should already know how to factor monomials out. If you want a refresher on this topic, I'll link a video in the description below. Please go watch that before you start this lesson. All right, new lesson starts now. Here we go. So we have this checklist over here, step 1, step 2. All right, we're going to go through this checklist for every single problem. Step 1, is it in standard form? Standard form means the exponents decrease from left to right. So as we look at these exponents here, okay, 3, 2, 1, and 0 exponents. And so we are in standard form, check. Step 2, is there a greatest common factor? So that was the last lesson. You should be able to look at that and say, no, there is no greatest common factor. So we are done. Now this 2 terms, 3 terms, 4 terms, okay, we're going to use that in future lessons, but for now we're going to say it has 4 terms, right? 1 term, 2 term, 3 terms, 4 terms. And so we're going to do factoring by grouping. So it's called factoring by grouping because you're going to group them. So you're going to take the first 2 terms and group them in parentheses. And then you're going to take your second 2 terms and group them in parentheses. Now what you do is you look only at each set of parentheses. So look at this 10x cubed minus 5x squared and ask what can I factor out of just those 2 terms? Well, I can factor out a 5x squared, which will leave me, again, we should know how to do this factoring. This would leave me with 2x minus 1. And from the second parentheses, I can factor out a positive 9. So I'm going to put plus 9. That would leave me with 2x minus 1. Now you will notice that these parentheses match exactly. And they have to match exactly. Okay, for factoring by grouping, if these 2 parentheses don't match, you've done something wrong. Okay, so we want them to match exactly. In this case, they match exactly. So now our answer, the way we write our answer is we're going to take the 2 things in front. So that would be 5x squared minus 9. We're going to group those together. And then we're going to take 1 set of parentheses and bring that down. And this is our final answer. Again, if you were to multiply and distribute, you would end up right back where you started. If you want to check your work, you can do it that way. But this is factoring by grouping. All right, here's our cool clock for today, which means that it's time for you to practice what you just learned. Go ahead and pause the video and try these 2 problems on your own. And when you're ready, you can unpause the video and we'll check your answers. Okay, now that you've had time to work these problems, let's check your solutions. Okay, for the first problem here is the work and final answer. And for the second problem here is the work and final answer. Okay, for this next problem, again, always check for your steps. Sorry about that. So, step 1, is it in standard form? Yes, it is. Step 2, is there a greatest common factor? No, there is not. So now we do our grouping. And negative 7q plus 7. Cool. So out of this one, it would be q squared, which will leave me with q minus 1. Now, for the second one, you're going to say, okay, I can factor out a 7. And you're right, so let's factor out a 7. That will leave me with negative q plus 1. But we have a problem here. Our parentheses don't match quite right. And I say quite right because they're kind of close. I've got a 1q and I've got 1s, but the signs are wrong, right? The positives and negatives are actually exactly backwards. If your positives and negatives are exactly backwards, then what you need to try is, instead of factoring out a positive 7, what would have happened if you factored out a negative 7? Well, then I would be left with positive q minus 1, and now they match. Okay, so if your parentheses look close, try factoring out a negative instead and see if that gets them to match. So now we just do our normal answer, q squared minus 7q minus 1. Okay? All right, here's our cool clock, which means it's time to practice. Go ahead and pause the video, try these two on your own. When you're ready, unpause and we'll check your answers. Okay, now you've had time to work these problems, let's check your solutions. Okay, for the first problem here is the work and final answer. For the second problem, I want to make a quick note here. I get this question a lot. Students see this 3 plus 5w, 5w plus 3, and they say, are those the same? Do they match? Am I good to go? And the answer is, yeah, you're good to go because 2 plus 3 is the same answer as 3 plus 2. With addition, you can change the order. So 3 plus 5w, 5w plus 3, does not matter what order you choose to put your answer in as well. I leave that up to you. I like to put the letter first, so I'm going to do 5w plus 3, but 3 plus 5w would also work. All right, last type of problem here. All right, for this last type of problem, step 1, is it in standard form? No, this one is not in standard form, right? This one goes 4, 3, 1, 2. So we need to put it in standard form. So we'll just do a little rearranging here. Plus 18m squared plus 9m. Step 1 is done. Step 2, is there a greatest common factor? Yes, there is a greatest common factor in this problem. We can factor out a 3m from all of these terms. So that will leave me with 16m cubed plus 8m squared plus 6m plus 3. Now, from here, you're going to do your factoring by grouping with this part here. The 3m, we're just going to drop down into our final answer. So we can sort of just ignore it for now. And so we'll do factoring by grouping with just these 4 terms. We should know how to do that. So I'm going to skip through the work here. Okay, so here's the work. Again, we should know how to do that by now. And when we get to our final answer, we're just going to take that 3m and put it back in the front of the parentheses. So this whole thing is our answer. All right, time to practice. Go ahead and pause the video, try these last 2 problems on your own. When you're ready, unpause and we'll check your answers. Okay, now that you've had time to work these problems, let's check your solutions. Okay, for the first problem here is the work and final answer. And for the second problem here is the work and final answer. All right, that's it for today. I hope you all have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.